Yeah, here we are on a Monday, a manic
Oh,
Monday.
a manic Monday. Oh no, we're live. This isn't a mistake. I'm just stewing, and I'm going to allow you to stew too, because on this manic Monday here, apparently we have lost the plot as a university, as a program, as a prominent college football team. We have completely lost the plot. And I'm gonna, with your permission, Bob, I'm gonna slap a big "not safe for work" tag on this Osceola, the Osceola Seminole Sidelines, because oh boy, I don't think I'm gonna be able to check myself. I don't think I'm gonna be able to do it. So it's better to ask for forgiveness and permission sometimes. I don't know how sorry I'm going to be, but that's another tale for another time. My name is Nick Carlisle, staff writer, recruiting writer for the Osceola.com. That's head editor Bob Ferrante. And clearly, I mean, I don't know how much of a good cop, bad cop this show is going to be, but clearly one person is a lot more fired up than the other person right now. I don't even know really where to begin. That is how much this decision this morning has gobsmacked me and made me absolutely speechless. I don't know why Florida State is waiting. I can't see, like, in our business, Bob, we are trained to see both sides of a coin. I don't see the other side of the coin here. You just got beat on the road by Stanford, by Stanford's backup quarterback, their third string running back. You watched your team quit on you in Palo Alto. There are reports out there from CBS's Chris Hummer that kids are mocking Norvell's response language in the locker room. The worst thing that can happen as a head coach is for you to lose your voice in your locker room. That's done happened, Bob. Hell, I would argue that Mike lost his voice in that locker room last year. And I don't know what spiritual sacrifice or what witch's brew Mike Norvell and Gus and Tony and the rest of this program had to conjure up in order to beat Alabama week 1. But that seems like an eternity away.
They woke up the tide is what they did, right?
I guess so.
I checked on that locker room comment and
Yeah.
from somebody who was in the locker room post game against Florida State, Stanford, he said he didn't see it or hear it. So,
Okay.
hey,
Well,
maybe it happened. Maybe it did, right? But it wasn't, it must not have been a crazy outburst that everybody would have seen or heard, right?
well, it's not like it's easy to find another instance of defiance. Edwin Joseph brushed past you on the sideline, argued with you. They had to be separated, and then you trot him back on the field
Right.
that next possession. After also, by the way, he gave up a touchdown on a slant when he had inside leverage. There's not hard to find instances of this team quitting on Mike.
Totally agree.
So
Totally.
to come out today and give this slap in the face of a statement to your boosters, to your fans, to anybody that gives a flying crap about Florida State football, I don't know what Alfred is doing. It's not like people are dumb. It's not like people are going to think, oh, well, maybe there is a chance that he turns it around. Everybody knows that he's going to get fired in 6 weeks. Who are you doing this for? Why are you waiting? What, again, we are trained to see the other side of the coin. I don't think there is another side of the coin, Bob.
There's only two ways this works out, right?
Sure.
And one is they somehow win 4 out of the next 5, and that includes a rivalry game, and things they look good enough all of a sudden. And hey, it probably, I don't think 2-3 is realistic at this point after losing to Stanford. The other one is they lose to Wake Forest, and it things may change, right? I mean, I took this as a statement of, hey, Mike Norvell's got 5 games to figure it out. but does he really have 5 games? I mean,
No.
let's be honest. He doesn't. Man, the things that concern me, losses concern me, but apathy among the fans concerns me more. No shows in the seats. It's going to be a 7:30 game. Florida State against Wake Forest. That's homecoming. A lot of those are pre-sold tickets. Florida State's got that money. That's a good thing. But empty seats are a bad thing. Apathy is a really, really bad thing amongst the fans. And I worry what that crowd's going to look like November 1st. Do fans just decide not to make that trip, not to spend the money in the hotels and the restaurants, et cetera? That speaks a lot. I know we'll get into the recruiting conversation later too, but just a reminder, folks, the early signing period is December 3rd. You cannot wait too long before making a move. It's essential. Mike Norvell arrived, and I think he was hired on December 7th of 2019. He still had 2 weeks before that signing period, Nick. I mean, he had time to get the Taggart recruits on board to build a class. Shoot, are we going into can we go into recruiting now? I know there's other stuff to go in on, but
yeah, sure.
If Florida State loses the 26 class, some significant number of it, you're going to sign some guys. They're going to be a 26 class.
Yeah.
But if you lose a significant number of them, quality, quantity, just because that early signing period is so early, that's a huge, huge worry right now. I mean, we've talked about roster management. We've talked about planning and building for the future. Well, it's really tough to plan and build if you can't sign legitimately all these guys that they've poured months, years into getting them here on campus. I mean, it's Nick, you're the recruiting guy and I'm not, but I mean, I think we can all see this is a rough situation.
It is, but as much as it is insulting to the fans and the boosters and the alumni, it's insulting to the players that are committed to your program too. To even insinuate the fact that there's going to even be a chance that Mike Norvell is going to be your head coach in 2026. I mean, I guess there's an outside chance. I mean, if they're not going to fire him today, if they're not going to fire him now and going to give him the rest of the season, is there a world where all hell breaks loose and he is actually the coach for 2026? No. I mean, I don't understand why you're insulting your commitments too by even giving them the poker face that there is a chance that the head coach that they committed to is going to be here in December. These kids aren't stupid. I don't think they blindly say or taking a look at the product of the field and say, hey, my head coach is going to be here at the end of the season. What I don't understand is you're going to have everything that comes with firing a head coach. You're going to have your decommitments. You're going to have to clean up the pieces. You're going to have to do all the nitty-gritty, nasty paperwork. You're going to have to pay the buyout. You have to do all the things that nobody wants to do. But what you do get by firing him now is hope. You get the chance and the opportunity to display something on the field that can be attractive to recruits. Say, oh, hey, maybe they do play better for Tony. Just like an outside chance. And then you get a chance to say, well, hey, look, things weren't looking right with Mike. Clearly that was the case. Now you get to bring in somebody else. And, maybe you love Florida State enough to stick with that, right? But again, these kids aren't stupid. It doesn't matter whether they're going to decommit now or they're going to decommit before early signing period. I think that you're going to take a look at this. Mike is going to have to battle a crap ton of negative recruiting. Programs are going to come calling. You may lose these kids anyway. What is the point of not ripping off the Band-Aid? And I want to go back to somebody. Here we go again. Said we saved like $4 million waiting to fire Mike Norvell at the end of the season. Is that the price of humiliation? Is that what the price is for embarrassment? Because you are going to get all the negatives of firing somebody. But in terms of waiting and issuing that bullshit statement to Florida State fans earlier this morning, now you don't even get the positives that come with the turning of a new leaf, Bob. You're going to have Mike run out there in a couple of weeks to a lukewarm crowd who are definitely not going to be happy to see him. You're going to run out there with a team who's quit. You're going, and now if you're Michael Alford, and this is the most mind-blowing thing to me, you had a chance to go and make a hire. And now there's a good section of people that don't like Alford anyways, right? But he's made some good hires otherwise. Link Jarrett, Penske, Brooke Wyckoff, although women's basketball is money's not all there, right? Luke Laux.
Yeah.
He's done good in other sports. But the main thing is hey, you gave Norvell this massive contract, and you had to do it at the time. The threat of Bama was real. But now you have just eroded in one message this morning any backing that you had from the fan base here to now they're calling for your seat as well. And I'm trying to get back on track here. I'm so angry. You might have to help me here, Bob. I kind of worked myself into a change. So
let's just say
now, I found it. I found myself again. So now you're not even going to get the positive that comes with hiring a head coach. You're just going to get nothing but fans who are giving up, fans who are checking out, fans that are not going to be donating to your program, fans that aren't going to care remotely about Florida State football for the next 6 weeks of the season. That's a good portion of the season. That's half the season. So you have fans that are pissed off at you. They're not going to pay. They don't want to renew season tickets. They have no faith in you as an evaluator of talent, of head coaching prowess. They don't trust you anymore. That's what you've done this morning. And I'm trying to understand, maybe if you're Alford and the administration, Chair Collins, President McCullough, whoever is making these decisions here, maybe it's because you're getting your ducks in a row to make sure that the next hire is the best one. Well, you can fire Mike and search at the same time. I don't understand why you are continuing to throw Mike out there under a bus that he created, mind you. It's not like this bus is fictional. Mike created this bus and is now running himself over with it repeatedly. But you're going to throw Mike out there to the ire of fans. And you're going to get all the negatives of firing a head coach without any of the positives of firing a head coach, because you've decided to wait, because you decided to put out that asinine message this morning. And to tie that back all into recruiting, again, these kids aren't dumb. Maybe they're faithful in the NIL period, probably not. But it's not like you can trick kids anymore to saying, "Oh yeah, there's a chance Mike's going to be here." No, and you're going to have to go heavy into their transfer portal anyway. I don't understand the idea of, oh, well, maybe they're doing this to save the roster. The transfer portal exists, and it's not like it's a small little niche thing that, some players will use. No, there is going to be exodus. I don't know what you're safeguarding against, Bob. I don't know, because it's going to happen anyway. It's going to happen anyway. Give your program some goddamn hope. Give your program something to breathe. It felt like this program has not breathed since the snub. Feels like we're constantly sucking on air. Maybe, and I guess the only time that maybe we've been able to gasp is an Alabama win, which somehow I don't know who they tossed into the volcano to muster up an Alabama win, but they did. It is mind-blowing. I feel like I've just been venting for 5 minutes. Thank you for watching the Osceola, everybody. I appreciate it. I see all of you in the chat. I genuinely appreciate it. Tell us your feelings. I'm sure at least I will agree with you on a lot of it.
Hey, here's an interesting one. This is a good one, right? Here we go again, 77. They need to cancel all visits for recruits moving forward. A half-empty stadium booing the team is not a good look.
Yes.
Man, I'm not sure I could have teed up a question better for you, Nick. How do you handle this one?
You fire him? You fire him? There is nothing but ugliness. There is nothing but ugliness that is going to come from this. They have kids coming in on official visits. They've got kids coming in on official visits for the Wake Forest game, for the Virginia Tech game. what's your pitch going to be to them? There's a 5% chance I'm here in 6 weeks. You know? And that's what, and I go back to this point here, and I'm going to open this up because it's hot in my room a little bit. It is a lovely day in Tallahassee, by the way. It's a nice cool breeze outside. Crack the window. Doesn't stop me from getting hot right now. You fire him today. Again, I go back to the idea, hey, whoever is going to be that, whether it's Odell, whether it's Chris Thompson, whether it's Tony White, whether it's Gus. If recruits are coming to this game and they see Florida as a noticeable uptick in performance from 1 week to the next in terms of performance on the field, because firing juice happens. UCLA has rattled off 3 wins after looking like the worst team in the country because they fired their head coach. Now, and I'm not going to say that these players are going to play for Gus or play for Tony any better than they would play for Mike. But because you are admitting to everybody and you are accepting the fact that this is going to be the product on the football field for the next 6 weeks, you are accepting that product and you are ruining your opportunity and your chances for recruits to come in and see, oh, hey, there's actually something here. There's guys that I can play with here, which that's the other thing. I don't know. If you want to take a look across the pond, right, and say, Billy Napier obviously got fired, but let's rewind a little bit to last year. If you're trying to bring in recruiting class, right, and trying to have guys hang on to the hope of something, what is something that Billy Napier had last year that kept him his job, at least for another season, despite the fact that, hey, he's probably going to get fired this upcoming year? It was a quarterback. You want to know what Mike Norvell has or doesn't have? A fucking quarterback. Pardon my French. He's got Tommy Castellanos, who is playing hurt. Hell, there's nobody on this roster, Bob. There's nobody on this roster that I think guys can point at and say, I want to play with that guy. Who's that gonna? I can't wait to play with Earl Little. Then there's nobody coming in that recruiting class that's going to even be like a rallying call guy. Who you're going to say, hey, I really think Jaden O'Neal is the truth. I mean, Kevin Sperry. I mean, I like, and don't get me wrong, I love Kevin Sperry.
We like Kevin Sperry.
I love Kevin Sperry.
Yep.
But it's like there is nothing that's going to ensure that they're either because of the transfer portal. So like there is literally nothing tangible, hopeful, exciting, anything that recruits can latch onto here, because you're going to see the product on the field for the next 6 weeks. And you know that, hey, there's going to be change anyways. I don't know why they're dragging their feet or kicking their rocks on this. And I guess the answer is, well, $53 million. But to go back to my point earlier, what is the price of embarrassment? You haven't won a conference game in the ACC at Florida State in a calendar year. I saw something on Twitter. Mike Norvell was 42 the last time that he got an ACC victory. He's 44 now. Now, that's a little bit of a cherry pick thing. But good Lord.
Yeah. I think the easy answer is you don't bring in recruits for the Virginia Tech game. You have to, I'm sorry, for the Wake Forest game, sorry. You have to insulate the team, focus on the field, don't bring in prospects. You got to beat Wake Forest, obviously. You got to go up to Clemson and be competitive and try and still win. Nick, is this one of the worst Clemson teams we've seen in
probably
a decade? Now, I know Cade Klubnik didn't play, and I'm not going to tell you I watched a ton of that Clemson SMU game. I was covering the baseball games over in Pensacola. But hey, that feels like a somewhat emphasis, somewhat winnable game against Clemson if you are functional as a Florida State football team. But right now, we're not talking
about. They're not going to be
functional,
Bob. They can't even be functional against Stanford. They're not going to be functional against Wake Forest.
Right.
Wake Forest is going to come in here and blow the doors off this football team. I'm serious. That's a very real possibility. I do want to respond to something that Jackson said on a Facebook comment. Thank you for your comment, Jackson. I appreciate it. It's about wins and losses in recruiting, and how prospects don't care about wins and losses as much as we do. And that's very true. in normal circumstances, prospects are not going to overreact to a loss like a fan is, because a lot of these prospects, I'd say a fair majority of these prospects go to high schools that aren't winning every game either. They understand the nuances of winning and losing. They understand the game. They understand it's a team sport. They get all of that. But NIL has changed that to a degree. But also, this isn't about wins and losses anymore. This is about who's going to be coaching this football team. When it becomes about who's going to be your head coach, that matters. And I think the writing is very strong on the wall that Mike is going to be gone. He should be gone. Again, I don't know who they're fooling. These kids aren't idiots. They're not dumb. So I understand. It would be another thing if they said, oh, Mike's going to be here for the 2026 season. I think Tallahassee might be stormed with riots if that happened. But I validate your point, Jackson. Wins and losses do not matter. But not in this case. Because you have a coach that should be fired. You have a coach that everybody around the country knows is going to be fired. We're going to keep these kids in limbo on false hope for what? It's not like he's going to get fired at the end of the season. The wins and losses don't matter in this situation, unless I misunderstood your point, which in that case, apologies. But when it comes to wins and losses, Bob, it doesn't matter anymore. You're talking about who is going to be the head coach at the program. And that's what the kids care about, because they've committed to Mike or whoever their position coach is. Maybe they commit to Gus. Maybe they commit to Tony. They're not going to be here either. There is nothing tangible for them here at Florida State unless they truly love this university, right? And they truly want to play in front of these fans, and they truly want to be a Seminole. But who really truly wants to be a Seminole anymore in the era of NIL? Maybe there's a couple of prospects that really, really do. And I'm sure there's a bunch of prospects across the country and the state that want to be a Seminole. But there's nothing keeping you here. If you are a recruit, there is nothing keeping you here. And I don't know why we're kicking the can down the road. I don't understand it.
I think what concerns me is what do recruits want from a college, from a program? I think what they want is not just the money. You can get the money at a bunch of different programs, ACC, SEC, Big 12, Big 10. You want to be developed as a player for the NFL. On the defensive side, they've shown they can develop guys for the NFL. A couple homegrown guys like AZ Thomas, Josh Farmer, obviously the portal guys. They still have not shown, again, they have not had a homegrown offensive player be drafted in the NFL under Mike Norvell. That's what negative recruiting has been going on for years against Mike Norvell. He's done it with transfers. He's had, of course, Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson, and you name the list of guys that have been drafted off the offense, but not one of them was a high school kid. That's the problem. So I think when you bring a prospect in, it's, hey, they might be asking about money, but they're going to be asking about player development. How do I get to the NFL in 3 to 5 years?
You think Papuchis is going to develop you?
I don't know.
He's 0 for 2. He's 0 for 2 in position groups with guys not named Braden Fisk, Jared Verse, and Jermaine Johnson. You think Papuchis is going to develop you, Bob? I don't. It's a rhetorical question, and I'm upset, and I'm throwing it back at you. But it's like, no. Who's going to develop you here? It's not. Who is going to develop you? With all due respect.
And I'm not trying to rationalize this when I say it, but you basically need to go to Tony White and Gus Malzahn and say, are you guys bought in for sticking around in 26? And that's in part how you get a transfer portal guy to come on a 1-year deal, right? And it's not going to be easy to keep a high school prospect committed to be then signed, because they don't see the long-term stability. I think this whole show is about stability, and there's just not a lot of stability around the program right now.
Sure.
Now, I think you can, because Tony White and Gus Malzahn are under contract, and Gus doesn't want to be a head coach. By his own admission multiple times, doesn't want to be a head coach. Now, the other problem is the quality of the offense has tailed off, and the defensive focus, mental mistakes, whatever, isn't great. How many FSU fans are going to sign up for Tony White returning? That's not a great scenario, whether it's Mike Norvell or somebody else. And if it's somebody else, it's not going to be Tony White. It's not going to be Gus Malzahn.
Yeah.
There's just, again, going back to the stability component, it's not there. And in the past, we talked about the timeline with these coaching decisions, not just Florida State, but elsewhere around the country. Sure. Time is not your friend, and you're trying to buy Mike Norvell time, but it's at the expense of the program, right? I mean, it feels like buying Mike a week or two is okay. Maybe the Wake game is a win. Maybe there's a couple more, but does it really help the program in the big picture? So the fans end up potentially losing here. The signing class, let's see, it's what I think 15th or so in
it's
rivals.
Top 15 for both recruiting services, per my knowledge.
All things considered, man, that's a decent class in terms of national rankings to say that you've got that class ranked where it is. Now, it doesn't have holes in it. It's not a perfect class.
No, and it's indicative of the recruiting problems that Mike and this staff have had throughout his entire tenure. It's weak at offensive tackle. It's weak at edge rusher. Surprisingly, it's good at linebacker. I like Isaiah Williams, which is really funny because this kid has flipped from every goddamn program in the country, and then he settled on Florida State because he got injured, and now he may be decommitting again. Who knows? I don't know. It's curious because I don't think that I do like Tony White, and I've been very public about this. I do like Tony White. I know what his defenses looked like recently, but I just don't think he has players. I don't think he has high IQ football players on that defense. I've seen it. Like you could tell somebody where to be and how to be it so many times, and if he still doesn't do it, well, that's a bad football player. There's not much like it's on the coaching, but it's also not on the coaching. You know what I mean? It's a gray area. You should, and I know that Blake Nicholson was in a way a converted running back who also played linebacker, but you recruited him at linebacker. I keep going back to that play deep in Pitt was pinned back and Blake's on a spy on 3rd and 9. All you have to do is stay in front of the goddamn quarterback, and you crash to the left side and get sandwiched by the defensive end, and he scampers up. Like at some point, your football IQ is not good. I don't think Tony has guys on defense. Now, on the offensive side of things, I think Gus has lost his rhythm completely with play calling, probably since the Miami game, and I don't know where it's gone, but everything looks out of rhythm. He looks uncomfortable playing like play calling. I don't think he trusts his downfield passing game whatsoever, especially not with Deuce that was out for the Pitt game, or for the second half of the Pitt game, rather. I don't. Again, I don't know the positives here that you could possibly draw from. And I do agree with Aguinaldo. At this point, you're accepting mediocrity. And I'm concerned about, I guess the conversation has always been, and this was a conversation 2 weeks ago. It's like, what is worse? Is it the $53 million buyout? Or is it the money that you're going to be losing keeping Mike Norvell employed? Well, after the Stanford game, that conversation changes completely. And it goes back to the point of, well, now you are going to be losing money every single time that you trot him out there because people are not going to be wanting to watch the product. They're not going to be wanting to pay for the product. They're not going to be supportive of the product because you were admitting, hey, mediocrity is good enough at Florida State. You haven't won a conference game in 12 months. I guess that's okay at Florida State now. We talked so much about the standard, but the standard is not being upheld. And I know $53 million sucks baloney. It does. And yes, saving $4 to $6 to $8 million, whatever it is, if you fire him at the end of the season, that will cover probably the buyouts of your coordinators. And that'll make things a little bit easier financially. But To my point earlier, you are not getting any of the benefits that come with firing a head coach. You're not getting the hope. You're not getting the investment. You're not getting the release of turning over a new leaf. You're not getting any of that. You are just making people fucking pissed off. That's all that you're doing. You're just pissing off people. For what? On a bye week, no less. This is the perfect time to do it. You'll give Gus or Chris or Odell or Gus or anybody. Throw Evan Cooper as interim head coach. I don't give a damn. You are giving them 2 weeks to be able to produce something worthwhile or worth investing in against Wake Forest, but you're choosing to tie yourself to your lame duck head coach that went 2-10 last year and is now lost 4 straight and could end this season 3-9, who you're probably going to fire anyway. I'm struggling to see the other side of the coin.
Yeah, I can't rationalize the other side of the coin. I can explain it, but I don't agree with it, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
And here's everybody's going to look at me and say, well, don't defend it. I'm not defending it because I tried to defend it after the Pittsburgh loss, but the Stanford loss is, it's inexcusable. That's the worst. Yeah. That's arguably the worst Power 4 football team, not just in the country this year, but probably in the last couple of years in terms of just talent. And they went out there and committed 13 penalties and all the self-inflicted mistakes that went with that loss.
Sure.
Okay. The only real defense is what I wrote after the Pitt game, and it hasn't changed. It's the math of the buyout. It's the 26 football schedule. There could be 3 playoff teams that you're going to play. That could be Miami, Notre Dame, Alabama. If those teams keep going, they're on a playoff track, and you're going to face them in 26. And then it's a crowded market. Florida just jumped in. Penn State, Virginia Tech apparently has money all of a sudden to spend.
Everybody has money. That's such a cat call. We have money that will invest in you. Come here. Arkansas's had money for years, and they just let Sam Pittman drown in the Woo Pig Suey. Anyways, continue.
And hey, this is where it gets interesting too. Like Signetti said he's staying in Indiana, not going to Penn State. We'll see what Matt Rule does. We'll see what Rhett Lashley does, because he has a really, really good job in Dallas with deep pockets at SMU. Yes. Does he really want to go to Arkansas, where you're basically set up to fail in that conference? Yep. Arkansas's got money. He may really want that challenge. But I think SMU is a better job. So you have great candidates who might decide, and you might say Rhett Lashley is a good candidate here at Florida State. He might be a great candidate at a bunch of schools. He may also say, I'm pretty happy where I am. Dallas is a great place. Recruiting in Texas, got money. Life's good. I'm going to give it a shot here. Rhett Lashley still has not lost an ACC game in a year and a half. He's feeling pretty good about what he's got going. This is a tough environment to hire a coach. Nobody wants to hear this, because you want to hear Florida State is a great job. It's a destination job. It's got a ton of money. It's in a recruiting hotbed. You want to hear Florida State's going to go find that guy who is the coach, the CEO, the everything to fix a lot of problems. The bummer is how many other programs are trying to find that, not necessarily that exact guy, because it's all about fit, but there aren't as many guys. There aren't enough. This is such a crowded, incredibly crazy crowded job market. Last year, I think the best job to come open was North Carolina, right? And they got Bill Belichick. Was that the best job last year? I mean, it was a really weird cycle because that House NCAA settlement last year. It's just a different hiring environment. Now, I've said all that. I'm not excusing what Florida State's done so far. I'm just trying to rationalize perhaps some of the line of thinking. But again, I think the only way this works out, you got to beat Wake Forest. You got to beat a rival. You got to look incredibly functional, which you haven't for the last 2 games in particular. I know it's 4 straight losses, but I'm talking about there is not enough talent on this team, on this roster. We can all admit it. Yeah. But you should be beating Pittsburgh and you should be beating Stanford. I mean, this team should be 5-2. right?
Yeah, no, and I think the expectations coming into the season were that this team would be able to overachieve. And when they beat Alabama, that you were like, okay, well maybe this is really real. What for whatever reason though, this team just lacks there's a mental gymnastic there, no matter which way you look at it. They either think they're too good or or they just cannot get over being too bad. That the outside noise is really not loud now, gentlemen. It's screeching. There's megaphones outside the IPF now with the outside noise. We're pumping outside noise into the IPF. Like there is no escaping it now. You know, it's interesting because there are going to be a lot of jobs open. And we'll probably be revisiting this conversation over and over as long as Mike continues to be the head coach at Florida State. So maybe not to go into it too much here. And obviously, we've already been yapping for 35 minutes. But, I mean, Auburn could jump in the pool too. And Auburn's got buku bucks. It's a scary, scary time. Do you want to hark back to a comment that Amy made on Facebook? Thank you, Amy. What people forget is that the fact that this is a new coaching staff with new ways of doing things, give them a break. I think a break can be given here, but I think the caveat is that they were brought. This is a 15 plus year Power 4 coach in Gus Malzahn, who took Auburn to a national championship berth, obviously lost. He hasn't had a great run of form recently, especially at UCF, but these two guys are the guys that you brought in for a quick fix. The pressure was amplified, and they knew what they were getting into. And as much as I understand, and I agree with you in the fact that, hey, you're in a new environment, you need to handle your roster in a specific way. You need to learn how they react. There can only be so much grace given because these are the quick fix guys. These aren't the let's bring them in, let's wean them along, let's get them right because we believe in them. No, this is hey, we're bringing you in because Mike had in the offseason, hey, we're bringing you in because Mike could get fired this year without you, or Mike is trying to save his job. We're trying to flip the script here. They deserve a break in some ways because I don't think that they have been given a talented roster to work with. I think Gus has much, much more to work with than Tony does. You have playmakers on offense. You have Castellanos. You have Danzy. You have Deuce Robinson. You have some good running backs when the running game is working right. You have a completely retooled offensive line. But they knew what it was. They knew what the situation was.
I said this to Mark Salva, post game really early Sunday morning. You think about the strength of this football team, and it really is the offensive line and the running game. You should be able to move the ball on the ground. I mean, the fact that you're only scoring 13 points at Stanford, nobody wants us to break down Florida State Stanford, but let's be honest, you can't come away with 13 points against a Stanford team that is giving everybody 30 points on average. And how many drives went into the Stanford end? You're not finishing drives. You're not finishing with – there's a lot of situations and circumstances and the penalties and all that, but those are excuses. I can't accept them. I felt like that running game should have shoved. That running game should have really made Florida State at least put more points on the board, if not touchdowns, field goals. But this goes back to the instability of where things are.
Yeah, and it goes back to what I said earlier. I think Gus is completely out of sync with his play calling. Curiously enough, I mean, from Alabama to East Texas A&M to Kent State, and to a certain degree Virginia, because they rattled off 21 straight points, something like that, something along those lines. I mean, they came back in a hurry, and the play calling felt right. The play calling against Stanford felt completely out of rhythm. They tried hurry up at certain times. It just didn't work. There was just a lot of running into the back of your linemen for 2-yard gains. I don't know if he just feels like he can't trust the passing game, and maybe that's a reflection of and a reaction to all the turnovers. Like maybe Gus has just had to bottle up and go into a shell because the running backs couldn't hold on to the damn football, and Tommy couldn't stop throwing dumb picks. And I know Gus will come to the podium on Sundays and say, "Well, Tommy's playing his guts out." Yeah, he's also being Tommy Castellanos. He's going to wow you with his legs. He's going to get you plays that you shouldn't get, and he's going to throw away plays that you shouldn't be throwing away. It's fascinating. And I think what boggles my mind the most is I think that everybody was expecting to get a notification this morning that Norvell had been fired and that prominent boosters are just going to eat the 53 mil and whatever, or plus whatever it takes to hire a new coach, plus whatever it is to buy out the coordinators. I think I something that Stevie said, I feel like Alfred knows he's on borrowed time as well. I mean, you have certainly put yourself in the crosshair by making a decision like this. And it's not all Alfred. It's not like Alfred went to the board of trustees or whoever he needs to go to, Collins, McCullough, whatever. And they said, okay, we want to fire him. And Alfred pulled a Houdini and said, we're actually not going to fire. It's not on all Alfred, but it's very hard to find positives for this. It really is. And, you want to tie it back into the recruiting conversation. The longer that this goes on, like, I guess in my brain, the worst case scenario is you've said that you support him through the end of the season and things just get so demonstrably worse that you're going to have to fire him in season anyways. And then now you're going back on your word, and now you're looking incompetent as administration, and then you almost have to go too. If that happens, right?
I'm going to make a not so bold prediction here. I think Alford is solid as the AD. I don't think his job is in jeopardy whatsoever because I think he has the support of President Richard McCullough. I think that's the main discussion there, right?
And again, the Norvell contract is the main blight with Alfred, but he's done well in almost every other sport. He sued the ACC and won. The buyout for the ACC now. There are a lot of good green check marks on Alfred's record, but you have today, and you have the Norvell contract extension, and football is what people are going to care about. Unfortunately, so that's going to put a veil over everything. Continue, Bob. Sorry for interrupting.
No, I think the not so bold prediction is I think they're going to have to make the decision before the end of the season on Norvell, and I think. If I were reading the tea leaves, this is not intel, this is not source, this is nothing. You have to beat Wake Forest, number one. I mean, you had to beat Stanford and you had to beat Pitt. I get it, right? Everybody's laughing. But moving forward, right, you have to beat Wake Forest. And then you have to have a good shot to beat Clemson. If you can beat Clemson, that's great. If those next games are losses, I don't see how Mike Norvell makes it through the season because of the early signing period. That early signing period makes it just too challenging.
Even the dogs are laughing.
The dogs are calling for a fire in Clearwater.
Yeah. I feel like I've gotten most of it out in regards to this. Trenton, we just covered that a little bit. I think Bob and I are of the same mind that Alfred is probably safe, even though people are going to be headhunting unless he decides and goes and takes another job. So that's on the cards. I think it is going to be Alfred that's going to be making this coaching decision. And Jared does have a good point, and I agree with this. This is the toughest rock and a hard place that I think any Power 4 administration in America is handling right now. Maybe next to like maybe Florida, because Scott Strickland is not on heavy ice either. And the Penn State firing of James Franklin is, well, understandable. Also, now you run the risk of not hiring the right guy and spiraling at Penn State. But I do think I think really what it just boils down to is, yes, they had to say something this morning. They had to say something. We knew that they were going to say something. I think it's just unequivocally the wrong decision for all the reasons that Bob and I, mostly me, I've been yapping, have talked about for the past 45 minutes.
I think you have to ask yourself, as a Florida State fan, at the end of the day, what's the stability of the program look like with Mike Norvell as your head coach? And I'm not sure rationally, and I can try to be rational about it, I'm not sure I see a lot of stability right now, currently, October 20th. The only way I can rationalize this is just stacking a ton of wins. And that's what this team infinitely is incapable of doing against Pitt, a very lower to bottom ACC team, and Stanford, again, one of the worst. You only solve this through wins, really. And
yeah. And I guess you have a chance to do that. I guess that's the chance. That's the opportunity. That's the saving grace. That's the swan song, if you will. Like, you have your chance. But I guess the cynical man will say, well, Pitt was your chance. Well, Stanford was also your chance. How many chances are we going to get before we accept the fact that in year 6 we're getting close to where we started? We're getting close to a roster that may have talent but is not playing well. We're getting close to a team that doesn't respect their head coach anymore. We're getting close to all of that. How shameful and how sad would it be to say that in 6 years and an ACC title and what should have been a playoff berth that was robbed from this university? How sad is it to say that you go through all of that and you end up in a similar place as when you started 6 years ago? It's tragic. But that's what's staring at you in the mirror, and that's why, again, it further confuses me why you don't announce this firing this morning, because I said it earlier in the show. It feels like this program has been sucking for air for 3 years, and you have the chance to let people breathe, and you didn't take it. You didn't take it. And now it's just all building and building and building. And you have robbed this fan base of the release of getting that hope. Now, there's going to be hope eventually. You're going to fire him in December, most likely. Most likely. It's not guaranteed. As William said earlier, he doesn't think that Norvell is going to get fired. And it's of course fair. But you're going to go through all of these emotions in December, and you're just going to not have it, the high that you get on in terms of saying change is coming, things can turn around. That's going to be significantly diminished, in my opinion, because you're going to go through all this rigmarole just to fire the man that you should have fired 6 weeks ago, right? And speaking in December. So, Bob, I don't know if you want to prevent me from saying much more, or if you have any other questions or things that you want to bring up. But I do want to say thank you to all of you for watching and supporting the Osceola. It's been a challenging season for us as well, considering we with the Rivals on 3 merger, we had to find something to make things work, and your support has been invaluable. And it's been incredible. And it's a shame that this season has come to this. It was so promising. But it's been quite something. You thought last year was bad, and it was bad. It was horrible. But I certainly didn't think that things were going to 180 like this season. I don't think anybody did.
Not after the Alabama, not after the way things started. I think you said it a week or so ago. It's almost like there's been 2 seasons in one.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's been exactly that. It's been a couple seasons in one. I don't know. I think we have to ask ourselves, this is about the program and not necessarily the head coach. It's about the stability of the program. And I really think rivalry wins are about the only thing that's going to make fans feel good right about now. So it's a bye week. We'll see what things happen against Wake. We'll see what happens against Clemson and Florida. Whether that's Mike Norvell coaching or an interim, whether that's Odell, or like you said, it could be anybody on the staff. Florida State's got a number of head coaching of people on the staff with head coaching experience. There are options should they make an in-season move.
Yeah.
But I think this is a difficult way to unwrap a statement, and I think that statement is very, very unpopular. We can see that among the social media crowd, right?
Sure.
I'll be very curious though how the fans respond, how the season ticket holders, how the boosters who are pouring thousands and thousands, tens of thousands into Florida State athletics, how did they feel and how did they respond? Do they show up against Wake Forest or not? Whether they've had plans and choose to change those plans. That's where the money speaks. That's where the money truly, truly speaks.
Yeah, agreed. And I guess it comes back to, I guess if you're looking for, I guess the opportunity in all of this is, hey, you're going to have your chance again. How many chances are you going to get? I know, but you get a bye week. You get Wake Forest coming to Doak Campbell. You get your chance to get a win on the board, and that's the only way that this may even begin to even start to look like it may work out. But the flip side is, and the glass half empty is that, hey, you get a primetime night game against Wake Forest to see this program just continue to embarrass itself. National I don't know. I think it's on ACC network. Is it a nationally televised game? No, it's ACC network on a. So it's going to be the primetime game on ACC network, which, hey, could be worse. We could be on the CW. We may be on the CW. Who knows, Bob? But
that may mean that the ACC huddle crew is back on campus again.
Oh God. Yeah, it may. It may. Sorry, I'm just reading Witt's comment. Pitt and Virginia losses were 1 or 2 play differences in winning. On the scoreboard, yeah. But Virginia, absolutely. The Pitt game feels like you just shot yourself in the foot too many times. But between the blocked punts and yep.
Block punt, turnover at the 50-yard line, 49-yard line, not being able to rush the quarterback and bring down a quarterback. I mean, even though they had sacks.
A true freshman quarterback that runs like a 5'1", 40-yard dash that was making his first road start after being the third-string quarterback to start the season.
And I think that's where we're questioning we keep using that term, self-inflicted mistakes. Yeah. It's either been a turnover, a penalty, or the basic football 101 type stuff where you're just not executing the play. Or those penalties against Stanford, I mean, 2 delay games, 2 the Edwin Joseph trying to rush the kicker, and then it becomes an automatic first down, and Stanford gets a touchdown out of it. These are the mental mistake penalties. Florida State just makes mental mistakes in various ways. Pick is it a turnover? Is it a penalty? Is it something else? It's just happening with such frequency. It's not just one mental mistake per game. It's an accumulation of them in really different ways.
Hell, you have a mental mistake before the game even freaking starts. How do you delay of game on the first offensive possession? That's insane.
I've not seen that.
Yeah, that was a very, very strong indicator. Anything else, Bob? I feel like at some point we all need to move on with our lives. As much as I wish we could talk about Florida State football the entirety, I know that you and I are very busy, and we've got stuff to do, stuff to talk about. Is there anything else on your end before we quickly end the show?
No, I think we've hit a lot of topics I think that we wanted to discuss. We want to hear kind of the voice of a lot of the fans who are, chiming in on Facebook and Twitter, YouTube, and such. And look, there's going to be more on the Osceola.com. Jerry Cutts has a column. I know he's traveling back from California. He's got a column trying to sift through the different factors here. Recruits will be talking. Recruits will be talking on Twitter about this decision, whether they're committed, visiting, do their plans change. There's a lot of different storylines, to be unpacked here in the coming days. So check it all out on the Osceola.com. And Nick, we will have Front Row Knowles Wednesday. I'm sure we will have more to come here.
I love Tom and Keith, but I don't think they're going to be as fired up about it as I was. I'm just going to go out on a limb and guess that. Maybe. Probably not. Front Row Knowles on Wednesday. I hope to have you tune in for that again. Thank you so much for your support today and for sharing, commiserating with us in the chat. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy the bye week, and all of that. So thank you all so much for watching. See you back here on Wednesday.